So, welcome everyone to our Friday contemplative practice. We get to meet every Friday at noon to have various contemplative practices that are led by people affiliated with CCC. And it's a time for us to pause from the activity of our week and to center and ground within, to be nourished in spirit, and to join together in community. And today we are so fortunate to have Reverend Carol Saysette with us to lead a practice of centering prayer. The presentation will be about 30 minutes, and then there'll be time at the end for sharing for those who would like to remain on the call. A bit about Carol. Probably most of you know her quite well, but she's a longtime and beloved member of CCC. She joined CCC in 1976 while still in seminary, and after her ordination served as co-pastor from 1982 to 1993. She trained in spiritual direction at the Shalem Institute and has been teaching contemplative prayer and meditative practice around the Bay Area for over 30 years. So just a couple of logistical things before we begin. The practice itself will be recorded in speaker view, and the sharing time for privacy reasons will not be recorded. Everyone is on mute now, but you'll be able to unmute at the end and just raise your hand if you would like to speak. So, without further ado, I would like to hand the mic over to Carol. Thank you, Carol.
Okay. Oh, well, I'm glad to be here. And I don't know about you, but I find myself doing quite a lot of life review work during this pandemic, and a lot of that has been around my ministry at CCC, which was one of the most amazing blessings for me, and have so many memories, so many wonderful people, and so many experiences. So it's getting a little teary about it. So today, how many of you, well, I just know from looking at you, many of you attended Pilgrimage Home for I think we did it for 9 years, something like that. And this feels very old and comfortable to have all your faces here in front of me. So I want to go back even farther to acknowledge the person that I learned the centering prayer from. It was Father John Thornton, who at the time was the priest down at the Episcopal Church, St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in Belvedere. And John was a huge soul. Sadly, he passed, I saw in the paper about a year ago, I believe. But after being at St. Stephen's, he became the Bishop of Oregon for the Episcopal Church. And he was a wonderful, very deep man, very, very interested in what was then the new contemplative prayer movement. So I joined his prayer group. It was quite a group. It was mostly people who were in seminary, but Erik Erikson's wife was part of it. And what a lovely woman she was. The Eriksons were part of the congregation. And I used to go to that church for the 9 o'clock service and then go to CCC for the 10 o'clock service. It worked very nicely. So So what we're going to do is the centering prayer, and I refreshed my memory on it by reading a couple of sections of the book Centering Prayer by M. Basil Pennington, a Roman Catholic priest. And so I'm going to follow his directions because he was there when the prayer was actually created. It's adapted from an ancient prayer. They don't know how long it has been used. And I just love, imagining that. It was one of the prayers probably used at the monastery, which is at the base of Mount Sinai. And I climbed that mountain and went to that monastery years ago. And anyway, it's a very historically deep. Has been a meditative contemplative heritage in the Christian church for centuries. So the first thing you do is take a minute or so to just quiet yourself down and just open to the divine, open to whatever positive, holy ones or essence that you want to do that. So let's take a moment to do that. Okay, now what you do in centering prayer, and some of you, in fact, the vast majority of you here this morning were in pilgrimage home. So we did do it as one of the practices that we did in those 18-week-long seminars. And so you might have a word that is the word you like to use with centering prayer. And I know Richard Flout did it a month ago or so. I happen to have a couple of words that I use. So take a moment to choose your word. Okay, and then the prayer is to gently hold the word. And of course, our minds always wander to this or that, or there's some sound in the background, or, distractions happen. That's just par for the course. So when that happens and you realize you've wandered away, you just gently go back to holding that word. And the words they use in the book as this is a time to rest in love. So I'm going to mute myself too, and we will be in silence for 20 minutes. Okay, take a moment now to come back, to review the time that you had in silence with your prayer. You might make a mental note of something you'd like to journal about after we end our meeting.